Who stands out to you as a most improved team this offseason?
So let's start with the Chicago Bears.
Oh,
I think you have to say the Bears are an extremely improved team given where they were and what they've gone to. Obviously, the whole offseason decision was will they, won't they with Justin Fields? Are they going to move on? Are they going to use the number one pick on a quarterback? Or do they trade down, take a massive haul of picks, continue to build around Justin Fields, give him one more year, and then hope that he's the guy, effectively commit to him long term? They decided to trade him away for pennies on the dollar. They get Caleb Williams. They get Rome Odunze in the same draft. And now you are theoretically rebooting but starting over with a vastly improved situation. So unlike the Justin Fields spot where he was genuinely set up to fail, they had nothing around him. And the fact that he showed anything with the environment that was around him those first couple of years, I think is actually an impressive thing in his favor. Caleb Williams is now throwing to Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, guys out of the backfield, DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert. I mean, this is a very, very good group of skill position players around him, and an offensive line that, if he plays more within structure than Justin Fields did, is probably going to look a lot better.
Yeah, and I think if you look at this from a multi-year view, obviously we're talking most improved. We're going to talk last year to this year. The Bears, they earned the 9th overall pick, not the 1st overall pick. So they were still one of the worst teams in the NFL, but not the worst. But from a multi-year view, remember when Ryan Poles took over, they had some cap issues. They had very little in the way of draft capital. And one of the first moves was to trade Khalil Mack, which feels like a long time ago, when the Bears were unloading Khalil Mack to the Chargers and kind of restructuring the roster. But now they didn't have as many draft picks this year, but they had the 2 high-end picks in Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, had a ton of picks in 2023. I'm not saying it's – look, I think the roster itself, top to bottom, is below a lot of, at least 2 of the other teams in the NFC North when you talk about what the Packers and the Lions have. But it is better than it was a couple of years ago. I think the offensive line looks reasonable enough. They looked worse, I think, with Justin Fields at quarterback. You mentioned that trio at receiver. That's how I always look at teams, man. I look at the quarterback and I look at the pass catchers. And I say, is the offensive line good enough? And I feel like the Bears have all of that. I think one of my questions for the Bears is on the defensive side of the ball. They were really good down the stretch there, and they brought in Montez Sweat in the middle of the season. Kevin Byard comes in at safety. Does he still have something to offer there? They got young in the secondary with Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith last year to go with Jalen Johnson, who they just paid. It does look like they've got more talent on the defensive side of the ball. Can they keep that that down the stretch type of cohesion that they had? That was pretty good. I think the Bears are feeling pretty good with going into 24 here.
Keeping hold of Jalen Johnson was a big thing. On what was a fairly team-friendly deal as well. They deserve a lot of credit for that. I don't know if you want to give them credit for that in terms of offseason, just keeping your guys in the building. But their defensive approach, Kevin Byard aside, seems to have been largely, we have a ton of young guys, let's hope that they get better next year, as opposed to let's really reinforce this and bring in several more players and upgrades. They have gone, we invested heavily last season. We got Tremaine Edmonds, we got TJ Edwards, we got those draft picks in the middle, Gervon Dexter, Zach Piggins, etc. The corners, Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith. Let's hope that they get better and improve together. And if they do, this group becomes really good. If they don't, we'll deal with that in the future. But that, I think, was their approach on that. It's like all the focus was on offense. Let's make sure this quarterback succeeds as opposed to the last one. The Caleb Williams thing is going to be fun because the Bears have an all-time pitiful history of quarterback play. And Caleb Williams has got some funny numbers to chase. You know what the rookie Chicago record is for touchdown passes?
Oh, it's like 17 or something.
It's 11.
11.
So he has 11.
11?
He gets 11 touchdown passes. He ties the rookie record. You know what the overall record is for this team? Which, let's remember, was a founding member of the NFL.
28.
29. Close. So nobody has ever.
Is that Eric Kramer?
Yes. Nobody has ever thrown for more than 30 touchdowns in a season as a Chicago Bears quarterback. Eric Kramer, 29. 2 Jay Cutler seasons. Number 4 on that list is Sid Luckman, who did it in 1947. Wow. That's how bad this history is. So as a rookie, it's entirely plausible that Caleb Williams becomes the all-time leading single-season touchdown passer for Chicago. And in fact, that's corresponding for like yardage as well, right? No,
I'm very snobby when it comes to people citing the record book.
Yes.
So through the years, I've brought this up before, but so I thought Cam Newton, during his career, was a solid NFL quarterback. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer like some people think. I honestly don't think there was more than a 2-season stretch where Cam Newton was a top 10 quarterback in his era when he played. 2015, he won the MVP. Everywhere else, he was probably QB 11. He was like competing with Matthew Stafford for QB 11 in his era, right? And every time I bring up something like that, people are like, Cam Newton has 29 NFL records or whatever it is. And most of the records are like most yards through 1 game.
Yeah.
Most yards through 2 games.
Right.
Most yards through 3 games. Most the rushing touchdowns are there for Cam, and that's a thing. So what I'm saying, Caleb Williams is going to be breaking Bears rookie records by week 7, and it's going to be Caleb Williams has 92 Chicago Bears rookie quarterback records at the end of the season or whatever it is. And all I ask is that we don't completely overreact. Plus, there's a 17-game schedule.
Yeah.
You stay healthy for 17 games, he's going to destroy these things.
And the fact that, forget the rookie records. Chicago's quarterback history is so bad outside of Sid Luckman, who was working in the 1940s, that all of their records are in play. The bar is set so low for him that every single passing record Chicago has to offer is on the table for somebody like Caleb Williams if he comes in and has a really good rookie season.
And no more use for the Bears. Can I use that still?
I don't see why not.
Do you have anything else on the Bears?
If there's one thing you've learned from the late Dr. Eric Eager, it's that a joke has never been used too much.
Never too
You
much.
keep flogging that thing.
I'm gonna miss Eric. Attacking the fan accounts that have 250 followers.
What if he still does it?
What if he still does?
Yeah.
What if that's part
know.
of maybe he's there as social media director, so he's going to have to be on Twitter. Maybe they got him for his social media skills, his tact even.
I mean, it would be. This is
Twitter
probably. I don't know what the Panthers' internal policy is on social media presences from their staff, but I would imagine this is the most restrictive entity that he has entered into as a public-facing figure, right?
Yeah.
And he won't be public-facing, you would assume, with Carolina. But between PFF, Sumer, and now the Carolina Panthers, I'm going to go ahead and say theirs is the most restrictive social media policy of the 3.
They're going to have to tie his hands during lunch breaks. He's going to see something. He's going to get twitchy. Gotta respond.
He is going to
Gotta
have
respond.
7 burner
He'll have
accounts.
some burners going.
So the main account is now going to go silent, but there's going to be 7 interesting Carolina-focused burner accounts that surface.
There's no person in the world who is going to have the most obvious burners than when he starts talking about Brownie in motion or whatever,
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know who Joe 67934 is.
Right.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Talking about Brownie in motion and mathematical concepts and whatever else.